Last week, we talked about why it's important for you to build the ability to predict how successful your business is going to be year after year. It's all about being able to feel like you're in control of the success of your business and having a way to project how well you're going to be doing in revenue, profit, being able to know that the activities that you're doing consistently on a day-to-day basis is going to lead you to hitting the goals and being able to gain the things that you want when it comes to your business. So this week, we're going to be talking about how to create that standard system and the processes and procedures in your business that will ultimately help you build momentum, stay consistent, and scale much further and faster. So many times I hear business owners talk about how complicated business is. And honestly, at the end of the day, business is super simple. We just feel like we have to complicate things because it might not be easy. When something's hard, it feels like it's complicated. But when you can create standardized operating procedures or create the system and machine of what your business does and operates on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you're going to feel like it's so much simpler than it is right now. When it comes to creating process in your business, it's first very important for you to understand the big picture. Understand what your core focus is right now in your business, depending on the journey that you're on and what stage you're in that journey. If you just started your business, the first thing you're going to need to do is make sure that you're making sales, that you're bringing in that revenue. Once you've brought that revenue in consistently, then it's about retaining those customers. It's about getting those customers to come back and buy over and over again and really figuring out how to scale that. Some of you might have a great business and you've started getting to the things that you want to achieve. However, now it's about how to maintain it with efficiency. And for some of you, it might just be being able to stop doing things in your business and really working on your business and or buying back some of that freedom that you started this business for and be able to afford that freedom. And that might be your big picture moving into this next year. So when you can keep that big picture in mind, that's when you can create those workflows and processes and get those implemented in your business. So let's recap really quick why it's important to create processes in your business. They help streamline the things that your employees and team members are doing on a day-to-day basis. We can then decide if we want to automate, delegate, or eliminate some of those redundant tasks. And it's so much easier to spot check those bottlenecks, those kinks in the hoses that are keeping you from being able to scale further and faster. It also really helps with enhancing accountability with your team and making sure that they have a very clear understanding of what needs to get done, why it needs to get done, how it needs to get done, how frequently it needs to get done, and by the standards in which you want them done. And how amazing would it be to not feel like you have to micromanage those activities and those team members and be able to go in as the CEO and just spot check that things are being done and they're done the way you want them, and that those metrics that you are measuring of those activities are going to show an increase in the revenue and the profit of the business. So the first thing that we need to do when we have that big picture in mind is we need to capture the workflows of all the things that are done in the operations and all the tasks and jobs that are done within your business on a regular basis. In order for you to do that well, you've got to understand the anatomy of a workflow. The first thing that you're going to notice is that you're going to have a triggering event. That triggering event is going to look like a customer calling in and needing to place a service request for a product they purchased or a service that they have with you. And so the triggering event is going to be that inbound call. And then you decide who needs to do it, what systems you might need to use to get that done. What is the actual task, effort, and resources in the order they need to get done that your team needs to use to complete that task? Inside of that piece, you're going to have certain pieces of information like data, documents, or links or things that they may need to use. So you'll want to make sure to understand what those are so you can implement that in the process. And it's very easy for them to access those and use those resources. And then finally, once this is done, what does the result look like when the person completes it the way they should? The best part of creating processes in a workflow really provide the person that's going to be handling this the definition of what it is, when these things are going to be triggered, how you want them to tackle and complete this task, what resources they're going to need, and what results you're looking for them to have. That way, they're not knocking on your door, sending you a text message, emailing you, or needing to get some kind of help from you because you weren't able to provide the resources in an easy to access fashion. And that really creates friction for them, but also takes up so much of your time that you don't get that freedom that we were talking about. Once you understand the anatomy of a workflow and how to structure it out, you're going to take a moment and you're going to write down all the things that get done in your business daily, monthly, weekly, in an operational sense, so that you can start a list of all the processes, workflows, and procedures that you need to create in your business. And when you have that, you're going to write the triggering event. You're going to write a list of the way you want things done in that task. Who's going to be doing it, how often they need to be doing this, and also what resources and links and documents and things that they're going to need to get it done, and what the ideal result would look like once they get that done. You're going to do that for every single one of the things that you write on the list as a task, activity, or operational procedure that you do in your business. Make sure that when you write out what results you want, you make it something that can be measurable. So for example, if you have someone who's a receptionist, a virtual assistant, or someone that's kind of on the front lines of your business, and their position includes answering the phone and being the frontline person to get any inbound requests or inbound activity, you're going to want to make sure that the measured results for their position, or maybe for a task, is to complete that task 9 times out of 10 than having to maybe escalate it to a manager or escalate it to another department. Because if I keep track of all of their calls and they can show me that out of 10 calls, they were able to complete 9, I know that they are hitting the result that I want them to hit. Making sure that that's measurable will really help you when we talk about tracking the measures that you need to track in your business, and how you can then, as a CEO, go in, take those metrics and see how well somebody is doing and how well it's working within your business. Now, the best part of this is if you have a team, you do not have to create processes and procedures and systems all by yourself. First of all, if you are already conducting business, you have some type of system. It may not be the best type of system. It may not be a consistent system or something that you can repeat and scale across your entire organization, but you've got something going because you've already been conducting business. But if you've got a team that you can go to and say, hey, by the end of this week, I'd love for you to write down all the things that you do on a regular basis. Just make a list. I don't care if they write it on a Post-it or on a piece of paper or send you a Word doc or send you an email, but start getting your team involved in gathering the things that they do on a regular basis so that you can put that into your master list and start creating processes and procedures for workflows, checklists, whatever that might look like. And you can also go back to them and say, okay, for all these things that you do, can you please write out the way you process these activities? And then you're going to have some help and be able to not have to do this all on your own. But if you are a solopreneur and you are the only one working in your business right now, and you know eventually that your goal is to hire a team to help you do this, by doing this, one, it's going to hold you accountable, really make you more efficient because you've got the steps needed so that when you've got to go in and get the thing done, you can just look at the steps and not have to think, well, how did I do this last time? Or what is it that I would like to do? Or how much time does this take me? You'll have those questions answered and you'll be able to be really efficient in your productivity and planning what your day and your week needs to look like. But then when you go to hire somebody, you can take the things that you no longer want to do, or maybe some entry-level things that you can delegate and give to a team member, and you can start showing them the process and procedures in that training to quickly get them on board and into your business and start taking those things off your plate. So make sure that if you have a team, you're utilizing them in creating this. Not only will it help you get it done faster and make this feel like a breeze, but you'll start getting their buy-in because you're asking their opinion, you're checking to see what things are working well, and hopefully you'll be able to amplify that and scale that across your business throughout the organization. Some of the ways that we've created workflows, processes, and systems before actually come across in an array of ways. We've used Word documents to outline a process. We have used graphic workflows to be able to see how this activity flows through depending on what happens as the results. We have used video and we have used checklists. And also, one of my favorite things that I love to share is something called tango.us. Tango is completely free up until a certain level. We've never paid for it, but what it does is it captures all your clicks and all the things that you do when it comes to a cloud-based software. You would add an extension into your Chrome, and as soon as you click play, it'll actually capture everything that you're doing. So when we are training on software or the way we want things done on a computer or with technology, it's a great way to be able to capture that workflow and that process and have a link and have it available to train your team on. I am not sponsored by Tango, but I definitely definitely wanted to give you that resource so that you can look into it. The most important part of this is that you decide one place for all of your processes and procedures to be stored that can be shared and accessed by your entire team. So whether that's a Google Drive or Dropbox or some kind of shared folder that's digital that you can use. Even back in the Stone Age when I was still doing business, we had something that we used to call the Office Bible, and it was literally this huge binder with different tabs of all the resources and process and procedures and checklists and things that we wanted to help get everybody on board and on the same page of the way we do the things that we do. So however you decide to do this, as long as it's something that is stored in one place, accessible by your entire team, and it's a place that you constantly are putting all your processes and procedures into, then it doesn't matter how you decide to do that. The week after I knew I had all of my processes and procedures in place, I decided to have my State of the Union meeting, which I talked about in the last video. If you didn't catch it, make sure you check it out here. But we had a meeting going over all the things that we created and making sure that everybody understood what the process was, whether it was for their department or for the overall business, and made sure they had buy-in and that nothing felt confusing to them. After that meeting, we went straight into this is how we're implementing these things moving forward. And we will have a meeting again in the next couple of weeks or month just to go over these processes and make sure that they are still in the right order. We're still doing the things that we want to be doing. We're seeing that the results are increasing. And if any edits or changes or tweaks need to be made, that we go ahead and go through that and do that. All of this in the end became our training program for when we brought team members into our business or had to replace somebody. I will absolutely say that when we did this, we had better retention of team members. We had much happier team members. They knew exactly what they were going to be doing when they needed to do it and how well they were performing based on our standards. And it really increased the ability for somebody to come into our business and take off running without me or somebody else in that department needing to spend hours and hours having them shadow us and booking out time to train them. We had a way for them to get in, learn all the information, and start taking action in the way that we wanted them to. And it made life so much easier. It gave them the ability to start taking action without hesitation, without assumptions, without feeling like they don't know what they're doing. And that allowed them to be happier in their position, to have a really great onboarding experience, and in the end, perform better and really enjoy what they were doing. So what I want to do right now is show you an example of a workflow. This is going to be our sales workflow for our insurance agency. The first thing you're going to see is these blue blocks that are going to be the specific things that happened as far as an action and what steps need to happen thereafter, depending on how this flowed. So the first thing that's going to happen is a lead's going to come in. And that lead to us, by definition in our business, is someone who we have information for, but has not become a prospect because they have not given us permission to quote their business, or we don't have enough information to be able to do that. And so what you're going to do if you follow that flow is the lead's going to come in and you're going to follow up until you have all the data. And if you still don't have all the data, you're going to want to set up follow-up tasks for the future to continue trying to get that information from that lead. Once you have that information, they turn into a prospect. And what happens next is going to be two things. They're either going to get quoted for insurance products, or they're not going to get quoted. Now, if they get quoted, the next step is either going to be we sold them those policies, or we sold them that business, or we quoted them, but we did not sell them. So if we sold them, we will then have a few tasks and activities that need to happen in a flow thereafter. If we didn't sell them, you will see what needs to happen next. And if that prospect, we ended up having all that data, but for whatever reason, we weren't able to quote them, then we also have some steps that are going to be follow-up steps that need to happen in that order in order for us to make sure we are fulfilling the entire process that our agency has created when it comes to the sales workflow. So you can see this is a graphic, a quick visual for you to be able to go through if you're a sales team member and see if it's a lead, this is what I do. If it becomes a prospect, this is what I do. If they've been quoted or not quoted, this is what I do next. So everybody in our sales department has a uniformed workflow of how they work these sections of the sales process. I hope being able to see that workflow or that example of some of the systems and procedures that we've put into place really kind of helps you understand what type of examples you can create for your business when it comes to building your standardized operating procedures and this entire machine of the things that you do on a regular basis, and how you can create resources and training and capture these processes so that you and your team are all on board and understand exactly what needs to happen, so that then we can move on into the video next week where we really talk about how to take the things that you do in your business all the time and put some kind of measurement and be able to track those things so that you can start pulling data from there and really be able to see what's happening in your business, how to predict what's coming next, and really be able to go away from micromanaging and doing all the things in your business to really showing up and being able to spot check and pull data very easily so that you can make better decisions on what needs to happen in your business. Let us know in the comments what type of things you are going to be creating processes for and what you loved specifically in this video. And make sure you watch this video if you haven't yet, and we will see you all next week.